At exactly midnight, the small habitat on the edge of the frontier world was silent. The stars outside were sharp and cold, hanging over the barren land like distant eyes. Inside the habitat, Daniel Cross sat alone at a metal table, finishing his daily report. He was a human technician assigned to maintain a listening station no one else wanted. It was quiet work, lonely work, but humans had learned long ago how to endure silence. The station clock ticked forward, marking the turn of the day. Then everything changed. A deep vibration passed through the floor, soft at first, then stronger. Daniel froze. His training kicked in instantly. There were no scheduled arrivals. No ships were expected. The sensors had shown nothing only moments before. He pushed back his chair and stood, his heart beating faster. His eyes moved to the room's center, where the air suddenly shimmered like heat above sand. Light folded inward. Space itself seemed to bend. With a sharp crack, something appeared. A figure stood there, breathing hard. Daniel stepped back, his hand reaching for the emergency alarm on his wrist, but he stopped himself. The figure was not hostile. She stood still, unarmed, her hands open at her sides. She looked fragile. She was clearly not human. Her skin was pale silver blue, faintly glowing in the low light. Her eyes were large and dark, reflecting the room like polished glass. She wore no clothing, no armor, no devices of any kind. To a human she appeared naked, but there was nothing inviting or suggestive about it. She looked exhausted, as if she had just survived something terrible, and she was smiling. Not a wide smile, not a playful one. It was a small, calm smile filled with relief. Daniel swallowed hard. "Stay where you are," he said, his voice steady despite the shock. "Identify yourself." She tilted her head slightly, studying him. When she spoke, her voice was soft, clear, and perfectly translated by the station's autolinguistic system. "Daniel Cross," she said. "You are the one I came for." His breath caught. He had never shared his name outside official channels. Before he could respond, alarms screamed through the station. Red lights flashed. The walls hummed as external sensors detected multiple warp signatures entering orbit. Daniel cursed under his breath. "Who are you?" he asked again, louder now. "My name cannot be spoken in your language," she replied calmly. "But I am a courier, and I am very glad to see you." "That makes one of us," Daniel said. He moved slowly toward the control panel, keeping her in sight. "Why are enemy ships entering orbit right now?" Her smile faded. "They are not enemies to you," she said. "Not yet, but they will be if you give me to them." The station shook as something massive passed overhead. Daniel looked at her carefully. She was not acting like an infiltrator. No weapons, no threats, no demands, just honesty and fear barely held in check. "You appeared inside a secure human station," he said. "That alone is an act of aggression to some people." "I know," she said quietly. "That is why I chose a human. Your kind reacts before judging, but you judge before destroying." Daniel didn't know whether to feel proud or uneasy. "Why me?" he asked. She met his eyes. "Because you stay." That answer surprised him more than anything else. "You could have requested extraction," she continued. "You could have asked for reassignment. Many times you did not. Humans who stay when it is hard are rare in this galaxy." The lights flickered. Power levels dropped. Daniel sighed. "Okay, let's assume I don't hand you over. What happens next?" "They will board this station within minutes," she said. "They will search it. If they find me, they will take what I carry and erase you." "What you carry?" he repeated. She placed a hand lightly against her chest. "Memory, history, truth." Daniel stared at her, then at the ceiling, as if hoping the universe would explain itself. "You picked a bad night," he muttered. "No," she said softly. "I picked the only night that mattered." The first impact rocked the station. Docking clamps engaged with a violent clang. Daniel moved quickly. "Follow me," he said. She obeyed without hesitation. They ran through narrow corridors as automated systems struggled to keep up. The station was old, human-built, reliable but not designed for combat. Daniel sealed bulkheads behind them, rerouting power manually. "You're calm," he said as they moved. "Most people wouldn't be." "I am terrified," she replied. "But humans taught the galaxy something important." "What's that?" "That fear does not stop you from acting." They reached the lower maintenance level. Daniel opened a concealed panel and led her inside a service shaft barely wide enough for one person. He gestured for her to go first. She hesitated. "If they find you helping me—" "They won't," he said. "And if they do, we'll deal with it." She studied his face for a long moment, then nodded and crawled inside. As they moved through the narrow space, explosions echoed above. Boarding teams were cutting their way through. "Who are they?" Daniel asked. "A coalition that believes order matters more than life," she said. "They erase civilizations to maintain balance." "That sounds like something humans used to believe," he said. "And then you stopped," she replied. "That is why you were tested." "Tested," he repeated. She paused, then spoke carefully. "Every spacefaring species is tested, given a choice. Most choose themselves." They reached the end of the shaft and dropped into an auxiliary chamber. Daniel sealed it behind them. "And humans?" he asked. "You chose strangers," she said. Again and again. The station shuddered violently. A warning tone signaled hull breaches. Daniel checked his wrist display. "We don't have much time." "I know," she said. "That is why I must tell you everything," she explained quickly. Long ago, her people had been created to remember. When worlds fell, when species were erased, the memories were stored within living minds, hidden from machines and conquerors. She was one of the last. "They cannot trace me easily," she said, "but they can predict patterns." "Except human ones." Daniel laughed once, sharp and humorless. "We are good at being unpredictable." "Yes," she agreed. "That is why I smiled when I saw you." A breach alarm blared nearby. Daniel made a decision. "There's an escape craft," he said. "Old, manual. They won't expect it." "And you?" she asked. "I'm coming with you," he said without hesitation. Her eyes widened slightly. "If you do this, they will mark your species." "They already have," Daniel replied. "They just don't know it yet." He opened the final door, revealing the small craft beyond. Behind them, metal screamed as enemies broke through. Daniel turned to her. "Ready?" She looked at him, and this time her smile was not relief but trust. "Yes," she said. "I am ready for you." They launched into the dark as the station burned, carrying with them the beginning of something the galaxy was not prepared for. The small escape craft drifted silently through open space, its engines cold and dark. Daniel Cross sat in the pilot's seat, his hands resting lightly on the controls. He had shut down every active signal. No heat, no noise, no movement. To anyone searching, the craft would look like another piece of debris left behind by a destroyed station. Outside, the stars moved slowly. Inside, the air felt heavy. The alien woman sat opposite him, her legs folded beneath her in a way that looked natural to her species. She still wore nothing, but Daniel had given her a thermal blanket from the emergency locker. She accepted it without comment, wrapping it around herself with care. To her, it was not shame or modesty. It was respect, and she understood that mattered to humans. Behind them, the listening station broke apart. Small flashes of light marked controlled demolitions. The boarding force was erasing evidence. Daniel watched until nothing remained. "That station was my home for 3 years," he said quietly. "I am sorry," she replied. "You stayed longer than most would." "That seems to be a theme," he said. She lowered her head slightly. "I did not want you to lose anything, but survival always has a cost." Daniel exhaled slowly and turned his attention back to the controls. "You said you were a courier, and that you carry memories." "Yes." "And that coalition," he continued, "they erase civilizations." "Yes." Daniel shook his head. "Humans fought wars like that once. We thought removing threats would bring peace. It never did." "That is why your species was marked differently," she said. He glanced at her. "Marked by who?" "By the Watchers," she said. By those who observe all emerging civilizations before deciding their place. Daniel did not like how that sounded. You mean judges? Yes, he frowned. We don't usually respond well to being judged. She studied him carefully. No, you respond by proving the judgment wrong. The craft drifted for hours. Daniel adjusted their course only once, using a brief engine pulse that sent them toward a dense asteroid field. Rocks and frozen debris filled the void ahead, creating natural cover. When they were safely inside, he powered the systems back on at minimum levels. They'll look for us, he said, but not here. Correct, she replied. They avoid chaos. Humans enter it. Daniel smiled faintly. After a long silence, he spoke again. You said every species is tested. Yes. What kind of test? He asked. She hesitated, then she answered. A simple one, a dying stranger, limited resources, a choice between safety and sacrifice. Daniel's jaw tightened. And if they fail? They are observed more closely, she said. Sometimes corrected. Corrected, he repeated. She did not answer that. Daniel leaned back in his seat. Humans would call that playing God. Many species do, she said. That is why they fail. He looked at her again. Why did humans pass? She lifted her gaze. Because you argue about what is right, even when it hurts you. Because you save others even while doubting yourselves. And because when you fail, you try again. Daniel stared at the stars through the viewport. We don't feel very special most days. That, she said gently, is also why you passed. A warning light blinked. Daniel checked the display. We've got a problem, she tensed. They found us. No, he said. Fuel, she waited. This craft was never meant to go far, he continued. We won't reach human space. Then we must not go there, she said. He turned to her. You have another destination in mind. Yes. Where? A place no coalition ship will approach, she said. A system you call a graveyard. Daniel raised an eyebrow. The dead reach. Yes. That place is unstable, he said. Radiation storms, gravity tears, old wrecks from extinct wars. Exactly, she replied. Daniel considered it. And what's there for us? She placed a hand over her chest again. A relay, ancient, built before the coalition existed. It can broadcast the memories I carry to every listening mind in the galaxy. Daniel's heart skipped. You want to expose them? Yes. And that's why they're hunting you. Yes. He let out a slow breath. That kind of broadcast would change everything. That is the point, she said. Silence returned. Then Daniel asked the question that had been waiting between them. Why couldn't your people do this themselves? Her fingers tightened in the blanket. Because they are gone, she said quietly. Daniel closed his eyes for a moment. How many? He asked. All of them, she answered. The craft moved deeper into the asteroid field. Outside, shadows twisted and collided as distant gravity waves bent light itself. They erased your entire species, Daniel said. Yes, and you survived. I was not meant to, she replied. I was sent away with the archive. I have been running ever since. Daniel looked at her and felt something heavy settle in his chest. You shouldn't have to do this alone. She looked at him with surprise. Most species would not say that. Most species didn't grow up human, he replied. They reached the edge of the dead reach hours later. Space itself seemed broken there. Sensors screamed warnings Daniel had to silence manually. He guided the craft carefully, hands steady despite the chaos. They'll never follow us here, he said. No, she agreed. But the reach will test you. Daniel smiled grimly. That's fine. Humans are used to tests. A sudden wave hit them. The craft spun violently. Alarms blared. Daniel fought the controls, muscles straining. Stabilizers are failing, he shouted. She braced herself against the wall. You must let go. What? He snapped. The ship is fighting the reach, she said. You must move with it. Daniel hesitated for only a second, then loosened his grip. He adjusted his approach, letting the craft fall with the wave instead of against it. The alarms faded. They survived. Daniel laughed breathlessly. Okay, I'll admit it. That worked. She smiled again. Humans learn fast. They reached the relay hours later. It was enormous, ancient, and silent, a ring of dark metal floating around a dead star. Daniel stared at it in awe. "We didn't build this." "No," she said. "It was built by those who believed truth should never die." He brought the craft in close, docking manually. Inside the relay, the air was thin but breathable. Lights flickered to life as they entered, reacting to her presence. "It recognizes you," Daniel said. "It recognizes what I carry," she replied. They reached the central chamber. She stepped forward, placing both hands on a smooth surface. The structure hummed, awakening. "If we do this," Daniel said, "there's no going back." "I know," she said. "And humans will be dragged into a galactic war." Yes, Daniel thought of Earth, of ordinary people who had no idea what watched them from the dark. Then he thought of the station, of staying when it was hard. "Do it," he said. She closed her eyes. Light exploded outward, silent but powerful, racing through hidden paths across the galaxy. Memories, voices, deaths, and final moments broadcast to every receiver. Civilizations stopped. Fleets froze. The truth could no longer be erased. She collapsed to her knees, shaking. Daniel rushed to her side, catching her before she fell. "Easy, I've got you." She looked up at him, tears bright in her dark eyes. "They will come now, all of them." Daniel helped her stand. "Then they'll find humans waiting." Far away, alarms sounded across the stars. And for the first time in a very long time, the galaxy began to fear humanity, not for its weapons, but for its refusal to look away. The relay went silent after the light faded. The ancient structure cooled, its glow sinking back into the dark metal ring. Daniel Cross stood still, his arms supporting the alien woman as she leaned against him, weak but alive. The broadcast was done. There was no taking it back. Outside the relay, space had changed. Ships were arriving, not all at once and not in order. They came from different directions, different technologies, different speeds. Some were small scouts. Others were massive carriers that bent space around them. Many kept their distance, unsure of what they were approaching. The dead reach, once avoided by all sane beings, was now the center of the galaxy's attention. Daniel helped her sit against a smooth wall. "Stay with me," he said gently. She nodded. "I am still here. The relay took much, but not all." "That's good," he replied. "Because I don't think we're done." She followed his gaze toward the outer sensors. Red markers appeared one by one. "They are afraid," she said softly. "Good," Daniel answered. "Fear makes people slow." "They are not people," she reminded him. He shrugged. "Everyone makes mistakes." The first hostile signal arrived moments later. A tight beam transmission forced its way through the relay's ancient systems. Daniel rerouted it to a speaker. A cold, controlled voice filled the chamber. "You have violated the balance. Surrender the archive carrier immediately." Daniel stepped forward, placing himself between the speaker and her. "No," he said simply. There was a pause. Then, "You are a minor species. This matter is beyond you." Daniel smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Funny thing about humans, we get involved anyway." The signal cut. "They will attack," she said. "I figured," Daniel replied. He tapped his wrist display, activating a tight emergency channel. "Let's see who's listening." Across the stars, the broadcast they had unleashed was still echoing. Worlds that had lived in quiet ignorance now knew the truth. Some reacted with fear, some with rage, and some with something far more dangerous: hope. Human space was far away, but not unreachable. The signal Daniel sent was short, raw, and unfiltered. "No codes, no politics. This is Daniel Cross, frontier technician. If anyone can hear this, the coalition is real. They erase civilizations. We have proof. We chose to act. Do what you will." He ended the transmission and looked at her. "That's all I've got," he said. She studied his face. "That will be enough." The first shots came without warning. Energy lanced across space, striking the relay's outer ring. Ancient shields flared to life, barely holding. Daniel felt the vibration through the floor. "They're testing us," he said. "Yes," she agreed. They want the archive intact. Too bad, Daniel replied. It's already everywhere. More ships arrived. Coalition vessels formed a loose perimeter, careful not to enter the Reach fully. They fired again, stronger this time. The relay groaned. They will break it, she said. Not before help arrives, Daniel said, though he did not know if that was true. Minutes passed like hours. The attacks intensified. Parts of the relay tore away, drifting into the dark. Then something unexpected happened. A coalition ship exploded, not from the relay, from behind. Daniel's eyes widened as new markers appeared on the display. Ships of unfamiliar design. Some were old. Some patched together. Some carried markings of species thought extinct. They came, she whispered. Who? Daniel asked. The ones who survived, she said. The ones who were never supposed to. The dead Reach filled with chaos. Coalition ships turned, formations breaking as they faced attackers they did not expect. These new ships fought with desperation, not precision. They were not here to win cleanly. They were here to make a point. Daniel felt a strange tightness in his chest. You didn't just broadcast memories. No, she said. I broadcast proof and an invitation. Another explosion lit the void. Then a new signal came in. This one was familiar. Unidentified forces at the relay stand by. This is the Terran fleet. Daniel froze. The voice continued, calm and steady. We are receiving multiple confirmations of hostile actions by coalition elements. By authority of human command, we are entering the dead Reach. She looked at Daniel in shock. They came anyway. He laughed, a short, breathless sound. Of course they did. Human ships emerged from warped space like predators stepping into fire. They did not hesitate. They did not form neat lines. They moved straight into the storm, shields flaring, weapons hot. The coalition had never seen humans fight like this. Not for territory, not for resources, but for something abstract and dangerous, truth. The battle was loud, messy, and fast. Human ships took damage and kept going. When systems failed, crews adapted. When plans broke, they improvised. The Reach punished everyone equally, but humans leaned into it, using unstable gravity and debris as weapons. Daniel watched in awe. They shouldn't be able to do this, she said. They shouldn't, he agreed. But they can. The coalition line collapsed under pressure from all sides. Some ships fled, others were destroyed. The rest went silent, choosing survival over control. Slowly, space grew quieter. The relay, damaged but standing, drifted among wreckage and fading energy trails. Daniel exhaled deeply. I think we won. For now, she said, they will not forget this. Neither will we, he replied. Hours later, a human shuttle docked with the relay. Marines entered first, weapons ready, then lowered them when they saw Daniel. Sir, one of them said. You look like hell, Daniel grinned. You should see the other guys. Medical teams rushed to her side, careful and respectful. She allowed them to scan her, watching everything with calm curiosity. A human officer approached Daniel. Command wants a full report. You'll get it, Daniel said, but listen to her first. The officer nodded. As they prepared to leave the relay, she paused and looked back at the ancient structure. My people believed memory was enough, she said. I think they were wrong. Daniel followed her gaze. What do you think now? I think memory needs guardians, she replied, and I think we just found some. They returned to human space days later. The galaxy was already changing. Worlds demanded answers. Coalitions fractured. The Watchers went silent. Humanity did not declare war. It did not claim leadership. It simply stood in the open and refused to look away. Daniel was offered promotions, medals, power. He refused most of it. He accepted one thing only, a place to stay. She stayed too, not as a weapon, not as a symbol, but as a voice. She spoke to councils, to scientists, to ordinary people. She told stories of worlds lost and choices made too late. Humans listened. Years later, when children asked how everything changed, the story was simple. A human stayed when it was hard. Someone appeared at midnight, smiling, ready to trust. And humanity answered, not with dominance but with courage. The galaxy never forgot that moment, and for the first time it truly understood why humans were dangerous. Because when asked to choose between comfort and conscience, they chose to stand.